missiles are being fired and tactical nukes are being launched into Iran and Iranian sleeper cells, which Iran actually says they've got and will use. The globalists may not have to stage a false flag. They'll have Iranians bombing New York, bombing Los Angeles, bombing Chicago, bombing Austin, Texas, bombing Houston, shooting people in the streets because they're getting nuked and attacked. And the globalists will push the plunger. Boom, tactical nuke, say Iran did it, and then it's martial law so hardcore, it's going to make your head spin. And you're going to be ordered to turn your guns in. And you're going to be ordered to swear an oath to them. And you're going to see all the spies they've hired and all the control freaks and all the intelligence units activated on you and lots of televised SWAT teams killing, quote, right-wing extremists and lots of military bases being attacked by the globalists themselves, blamed on domestic groups claiming we work with Al-Qaeda. And Iran. This is the full spectrum warfare of the bankers running America. And once they trigger this war, ladies and gentlemen, it's going to be a war on the American people and a war on the Iranians. You better believe it. And it is going to be hellish. Now, I'm telling you, this is in the works, in the cards. What I've told you is a very possible scenario that I can see and reverse engineer from all their action, and I know they've got everything I just said in blueprint model battle plans right now. I just gave you one of their major battle plans right there. Because everything in intelligence is watching movements, and the globalists think you're stupid, so they hide everything in plain view. And about 90% of my prime projection I just gave you is open source information. The rest is knowing the enemy's mind. But they could go with a bio attack and say the Iranians did it, or just say one popped up during this crisis to get us all to unify behind the government. What did they talk about in the New Hampshire debate, the one I watched Saturday night? They kept talking about we need to get the public's trust back. It's all about making them look trustworthy and making them look good and fatherly and nice. Those are all little nobody puppets except Ron Paul. That's why it's anybody but Ron Paul. So I want you to understand, I told you they'd implode Europe over a decade ago through derivatives and use the EU bureaucracy to fully take what sovereignty was left. Boom, it's happening. Bank of the World being announced, every major magazine that's in financial news, that's establishment, economists, Bloomberg, you name it, saying technocrats, unelected, need to run things now. Freedom isn't good. The Constitution's bad. Time magazine, Newsweek, they're selling tyranny as the answer right now. And I know their plan. I told you 10 years ago they started putting TSA on the streets. Now it's being announced and being done all over the country. You drive up and there's guys with machine guns searching your cars, searching you on the street. They're beta testing total martial law, and they're going to start a civil war. They want a civil war. They're going to march the idiots in Homeland Security up against the American people. We'll be right back. Now, in the midst of a huge confrontation with Iran coming up, Iran says they take it as a military attack if they are put under siege, their industrial civilization. A lot of areas of Iran look like Chicago or Dallas, Texas. Big, glistening, high-rise buildings, people in suits and ties walking around. About 70%, if you look at the general polls, of Iranians are big fans of the U.S., but they're going to be attacked. And they're saying that when their power gets cut off, they are going to go ahead and block the Strait of Hormuz and give Europe and the U.S. the same medicine they're getting. And the Israelis and the U.S. have said, that is the people that run Israel and run the United States have said, you know what, we're going to attack you when you do that. It's like, we're going to cut your power off, and we're going to have terrorists inside your country. I even have a Washington Post article today admitting that the U.S. and Israel are blowing up missile bases and assassinating people in Iran. I mean, whole bases blow up. Whole military command bases blow up. Whole missile bases blow up. Ahmadinejad's driving across a bridge. It blows up right after he drives across it. The Iranians, if they were so crazy, they're just taking it and taking it and taking it and taking it. But they're saying if you cut off half our power, we're going to have to go to war with you. Because siege, embargo, blockade is the oldest form of war. Under international law, Ron Paul has pointed out it's an act of war. Can you imagine if somebody cut off half our fuel? I mean, folks, a lot of the average good old boys, liquor sales, pizza sales go off the charts when there's a war. More than New Year's, at Christmas, and Thanksgiving combined. I've talked to liquor store owners. I've seen the statistics in the news. When there's a new war, people go get drunk. They have barbecues. They sit there like it's a video game. As the banks that run America use our military to terrorize third world nations, of course they hate us. And then they say, well, if we weren't dependent on oil, we wouldn't have to buy it from them. All the Republicans say that. The big oil companies and banks that run this country don't want the oil to be developed. They're always blocking it. It isn't some little hippie person blocking exploration of oil. It's the big oil companies. It's on record. The Associated Press sued in 2000 and got documents from 1996. We've written big articles on it where the big 10 oil companies got together in meetings and said, we got to buy up all the refineries. There's too much oil. We'll shut it down that way. And we'll also, basically covertly fund environmentalist groups to stop development here, to shut down all the smaller companies. It's on record. And they fund the whole peak oil thing. The oil companies do. There's no oil left. To train you that there's no oil. Just like they're shutting down all of our coal plants that aren't owned by GE. And the power prices are going off the charts. They know what they're doing. They'd like to sell you less for a whole lot more. And it's real simple. It's real simple. The globalists are going to love it. Saudi Arabia's already said they're going to love it when the strait gets shut down. They're going to make even more money. You're going to pay a lot more. You're going to pay $6, $7 at the pump. And they're going to tell you Iran did it. You think the Iranians are like paying 2, 3 times at the pump? They're human beings too. Now, let's go to this clip. Here's CBS News. It's got a thing with McCain worshiping, anti-gun, open border McCain, carbon tax McCain, torture lover McCain, who said he was for torture but voted for it. Against torture but voted for it. Here it is. CBS reporter blatantly excludes Ron Paul from coverage, despite the fact that Paul is surging and Romney sliding. Yeah, Romney's sliding in New Hampshire. That's what all the polls show. Paul is 8 to 15 points, depending on which poll. And look, it's going to show the graphic. CBS News. CBS News won't even tell their viewers Ron Paul exists. They think you're idiots. This is the disdain of these people. Here's the clip.
And that is to make sure that we make Mitt Romney the next president of the United States of America.
Expectations are high in what has become Romney's adopted home state. The new Suffolk University poll shows him with a commanding lead in New Hampshire at almost 30 points above his rivals. At the same time, Newt Gingrich and John Huntsman have faltered. Rick Santorum, who polls in single digits here, is looking to give Romney a run in the Granite State after his near victory in Iowa. As for the losers...
Okay, back that up for a minute with the graphic there. And I'm going to have that redone. We grabbed that CBS and put our graphic around it, but it cuts off the numbers there. I'm going to show this on the nightly news again tonight. It's big news, but there's the full graphic. Romney 43, Gingrich 9, Huntsman 7, Santorum 6. They don't even let you know there that 20-something% is Ron Paul, and they don't even show him. This is how they manage reality. This is why your neighbors seem so dumb. This is why they're so ignorant. I run into a lot of people still don't even know who Ron Paul is. So, yes, those of us that can see, that are awake, we know all about it, but the average person is literally sucking their thumb.
We're on the march. The empire.
Okay, we are joined by Lieutenant Colonel Anthony Shaffer to break down more on Iran, then investigative journalist, former NSA officer Wayne Madsen, and will be joining us as well to break this down. Lieutenant Colonel Anthony Shaffer currently serves as the Director of External Communications of the Center for Advanced Defense Studies as a consultant. He is a Senior Operations Officer, Military Operations Training Course, MOTC, and it just goes through all the combat he's been in, Afghanistan, you name it, the Stratus Ivy group trying to kill bin Laden, who could have killed him but was blocked from doing it right before 9/11. Abel Danger, his testimony to Congress. He awarded the Bronze Star for his first of 2 combat tours in Afghanistan. He was credited for conducting highly complex operational support of NSA and for playing a critical role in breaking the back of the Taliban counteroffensive in fall of 2003. In addition, he was called back to active duty in Desert Storm, Desert Shield in 91, performed special support to Army intelligence. He's been deployed to Thailand, Germany, New Zealand, and much more. OperationDarkHeart.com is where you can find out about his best-selling book that got pulled for a while when the government cut some pieces out of it. Really just as a dirty trick, because much of what he'd talked about had already been documented. But he joins us for the next 30 minutes to look at Iran. A lot of analysts have said this could lead to World War III. The Chinese have said, their president said, prepare for war with the United States. They've said they will back them militarily. They said they'll back Pakistan militarily. The question is, will they follow through on that? China needs that oil, has a lot of projects there. They're the ones helping them build reactors. And for those that don't know, who just tuned in, Debka File, Reuters, Jerusalem Post, I mean, I've got like 50 articles here, no exaggeration. Russian, French warships off Syria, Iran, U.S. drones over Iranian coast. Iran has ability to block Strait of Hormuz. U.S. General Dempsey tells CBS 3 weeks ago he said they couldn't. Breaking with Admiral Mullen, the last Joint Chiefs, and before that, Fox Fallon, who, of course, were Navy men, admirals. So a lot of weird stuff out of Dempsey, I tell you. If he's going to say they can't block it, he should just stick with it, even if it's wrong. But Iran reported to enrich uranium in an underground lab. All of that's going on. Judy Miller alert, the New York Times is lying about Iran's nuclear program again, implying they're enriching weapons grade when it's documented that they're not. Here's another one, Iran to launch nuclear work again in that bunker. All of this is just getting crazier and crazier. And here's the biggest news from my perspective. We're going to Colonel Shaffer. They're saying that they will block the Strait of Hormuz now in official Iranian press TV, official government organs, if the embargo by Europe goes ahead of Iranian oil, which is how they fund most of their government. And they're saying they're going to embargo refined gas. They sell raw oil and then buy refined gasoline, 51%. So this is an industrial depression for them. So the people that want war have pushed them into this, and we're here. This is a big deal. And Europe's set to vote in less than 3 weeks on this. But that's not even the biggest news. We have the... And I have trouble not, hyperventilating when I think about this, because this is crazy, folks. They have the U.S. fleet, an Israeli fleet, the Associated Press reports, steaming towards the Strait of Hormuz after Iran last week issued the challenge that do not come through the strait again. This is your last warning. So that a wild provocation by Iran. And Israel, the United States going in. So either they're going to blink or something's going to happen. How did things escalate this fast, Lieutenant Colonel Anthony Shaffer, sir?
Well, I think there's 3 things that we have to consider as we look to the future. First, as you brought out, and I think very well stated, the Iranians have huge problems inside if they decide to